I have a Sheffield United match to go to in a little while, and I was just about to sit down and do a really natural face of makeup because I never like going to the matches fully done up. And then I looked at the makeup that's on my floor. I'm planning out my faves and fails, and it's rather overwhelming. I've got to say, there are so many products. I thought, why not sit down and do a full face of makeup that I've never spoken about before? And some of these products I have had so many comments about in the comment section when I've worn them on camera. You've been asking me, what is your eye makeup? I need to know, I need it in my life. And I didn't respond to those comments because I knew I'd be talking about these products at some point in the very near future, and today is the day. So let's get on with it. We have products from Maybelline, Laura Mercier, Lancome, Estee Lauder. We have products from Vive, Anastasia Beverly Hills, No. 7 Pro Artist, Revolution, Sashu, not quite sure whether that's right, and Charlotte Tilbury. So let's get some on my face. I'm going to go in with primer first. This is a brand new primer from Maybelline. It's the Poreless Jelly, what is it? The Hydrating Blur Primer. I've tried this multiple times before. This stuff works. It really blurs the skin. It airbrushes. It's a really nice consistency. It's like a jelly consistency, but a very thick jelly consistency. So I like to apply this where I need the most blur, and this really does make my makeup last quite a bit of extra time. I was talking to Stephanie Marie this morning about different products that we've fallen in love with, and this was one of my really beneficial products that I've found recently. So I wore a foundation the other day that usually by the end of the day I have no foundation left on my chin, and it's always a little bit cakey between my brows and a little bit shiny. It really does emphasize my large pore area, and I tried it the other day with this primer. None of that. None. Just smooth, blurred, airbrushed, and all of my foundation was there on my chin at the end of the day. So I was super, super impressed. This was the only thing that I'd done different with that foundation. It feels really nice. It feels hydrating, but it doesn't feel overly wet on the skin. It does absorb, and it just is just so smoothing and very lightweight and comfortable on the skin. So definite win-win for me. I've done a full-blown review on this concealer. I think you all know I love it by now. However, I thought I'd use it in this video because I do have a few words of wisdom on how to get the best out of this concealer. Now, I'm not going to put it underneath my eyes at this moment in time, but I am going to use it as an eyelid primer, and you will see how blurring and smoothing this actually is and how quick it is to apply. Words of wisdom. Put it on the back of your hand, don't dot it directly onto the skin. The reason I say this is that this dries down incredibly quickly, and by adding it to the back of your hand, you're going to get that warmth from the back of your hand. This is going to start drying down straight away, even before you've applied it, and that is what you want, because that is going to give you that blurred effect, and it's going to make sure that this doesn't crease because it's almost fully dried down by the time you apply it to the skin. You don't have to powder this in place if you don't want to, if you are averse to any sort of powder underneath the eyes, on the eyelids. If it makes your eyelids and under eyes look worse than before the concealer went on, you don't need to do that with this concealer because, as you can see, it is already set. And usually, even with an eyelid primer, once I'm talking and I'm blinking, the primer or the concealer does tend to move into my creases. Can you see any movement at all? I've had so many comments about this product. And when I say I don't like going to any football matches in full glam, that is going out of the window today, because we are going to be applying the brand new Charlotte Tilbury Beautifying Eye Trends in Super Neutral. This is a 9-pan palette, and it is the most glorious palette. First of all, I'm going to dip into these two shades together, pat off the excess, and use this to carve out a slightly higher crease to make my eyes look a little bit more lifted. Take that down the side as well. I'm gonna go into just the deeper shade and just deepen up that outer edge. These are so soft. They're quite dry, but they're creamy in the same sentence, and I'm not sure if that makes any sense whatsoever. They don't go onto the lid creamy, but they feel creamy to the touch. There's not a lot of powdery kickback in the pan. Let's bring on the glam. This is where the sparkle happens. So I'm going to go into this shade. Funnily enough, this shade, which looks darker in my opinion, is actually lighter than this shade. So I'm just going to pat that on the eyelid and just pat, pat, pat in place. This is the most beautiful sparkle, so you can have this quite a sheer sparkle if you want to, but you know, we're not going to do things by halves today. I'm going to take a brush for this more or less pearly white shade, pack that on my brush so it is quite packed full of the glitter, only because my fingers are a little bit too chunky for this area, and then I'm patting that in place. These glitters are so beautiful, and because of the texture of the glitter, you don't get masses of fallout underneath the eye, which is a pet peeve of mine. I'm going to take this matte silk shadow. It's a really lovely neutral brown on my Refa 29 brush, and just do what I always do, just dab that on the outer upper lash line. Just makes such a difference in opening the eye. Then I'm going to create a little bit of a wing just to lift this a little bit. So pat that on to create the wing, and then just join the dots. Once I've done that, if I don't want it as harsh as just that brown, which I actually really like that actually, but I usually go for something more smoky, take this shade, which was my half transition shade, and I'm just going to go over it with my Refa 3 pencil brush and just feather that out and smoke it out a little bit. So I lied, not intentionally. I've never had fallout with these glitter shadows before. These are the Diamond Dimension shadows. There are 2 within this palette, and I've used both of them. As you can see on this side, there are quite a few little glitter particles underneath my eye. It's not happened to me before, and I've used this so many times. So my only sort of, what do you call it, explanation, it came to me, is that I overloaded my brush a little bit too much with the glitter, but you know, it's never happened to me before. I don't know what's happening today. Of course it had happened today, but at least it's happened on camera and I can share it with you. So I'm just going to add a little bit more of that white sparkle, and I'm going to go in again later and do the inner corner, right in the inner corner, when I've got a little bit of foundation and some concealer on underneath my eyes, and then I'm just going to build up the glitter on here a little bit more. Now we've got some liner down, just because, you know, why not? I'm going to be using a tinted moisturiser today. This is the new formulation of the Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturiser Natural Dewy. Now, I really liked the old version of the Laura Mercier, so I'm hoping they've not screwed with it too much, and I don't like this because it's my go-to in those summer months where I want to look a little bit more polished, but I don't want to look like I've made too much of an effort. I'm just going to pop this between my brows, which is always the first place that I go, and then go round my brows so not to get any product on my brows with a smaller brush. This brush is my Refa 35 brush, and I just think this is a superb brush. Corners of nose, very important for me. switching over to my Zoeva 104 brush, getting the product in that brush and just tapping this on the skin. Look at the coverage. Look at the coverage there. That's really decent coverage for a tinted moisturiser. But it doesn't look heavy or cakey. I do like this shade. I think this is probably going to be my summer shade. It's a little bit too deep for me at the moment, but we're gonna run with it because I've got no other choice. So just pat it over that acne scarring that was incredibly visible before. And although you can still see it poking through, the coverage is there. You can also see that glow. And I don't know if I love the glow, I'm not gonna lie. I'm just adding a tiny bit more, and let's just see if we can build that up a little bit to get more of a light medium coverage rather than just a light coverage. I don't think so. You can, but it's now emphasizing my pores around this area, whereas this one, which is more light coverage and I've got less product on there, isn't emphasizing my pores as much. Still is emphasizing my pores though, because it's glowy. It's more of a radiant glow. It's definitely not a glass skin glow, but I don't know whether I like this. The concealer, I'm sure, will make the tinted moisturiser look 10 times better because all I can focus on at the moment are my dark circles. My dark circles are definitely circling today. They are deep. Do you know, when I first talked about the Double Wear Stay in Place concealer, when I did that standalone review on this product, somebody in the comment section said that my dark circles weren't bad at all. I didn't really have dark circles and that I was lying to everybody. I'm just like, hello, did you watch that video? I mean, some people's dark circles may be worse than mine. I'm not saying mine are the worst on the planet, but I definitely do have dark circles. So once again, applying this concealer exactly the same as I did on the lid. It has been on the back of my hand for around about a minute, drying down, and then I am taking my N16 brush. It's the Nicola Rose brush from BK Beauty. This is one of the best brushes for under eye concealer that I have ever used in my life because it is so feathery on the end, so you can be so precise but extremely light-handed with this and get the exact amount of product on the skin that you need. I mean, look at the difference that just gives. It is unreal, absolutely unreal. So before I smooth that any further and give myself any more coverage, I'm going to do the same on the other side, go right into that inner corner where I do have a bit of bluey purpley tinge, pat that in place. I'm only going over my areas of severe darkness to begin with. That's all I'm doing. And then adding a little bit more of the dried down concealer on my brush and just tapping that in place. Now I do have a little bit of a vein that shows underneath my eye, so I'm going to take a little bit more product and just pat it over that. Not going all the way underneath my eye. As you can see, I'm just staying where I need the concealer. It's not necessary to go absolutely everywhere. I do have quite a lot of product left on the back of my hand, so there's some build up here which is still wet. I'm not going into that, I'm going into the dry stuff. Just picking up a little bit of that and just building this up how I want it. And then again, using the excess just on that outer corner of the eye, just to blur, brighten and smooth. Once the concealer has dried down, and literally it takes a matter of seconds because it was already semi-dry on the back of my hand, you can, if you want to, go in with your fingertip and push the concealer even further into the skin to give a more natural finish. I'm not going to do that today because I've applied so little and only in the areas that I need it. I just don't think it's worth my time. It's already on there. I've got the level of coverage that I need. It's already dry, it's smoothed, it's airbrushed, it's not creasing on me. I am going to go in with the tiniest bit of powder later on, but I'm going to let that sit underneath my eyes for a good 5-10 minutes before I do that. So I'm going to move on to another area of my face. Let's do bronzer. For bronzer, we're going to go for the number 7 Pro Artist Bronze and Glow Face and Eye Multi-Stick. This has a highlighter on one end and also a bronzer stick on the other, and it's the bronzer stick that I think is so beautiful. I've used this many times. The only thing that I can say is the reason why I don't use this every single day is that it's such a beautiful consistency, but it buffs out into almost nothingness. The consistency, the texture, the blendability, really beautiful, but it's subtle, and sometimes I need that extra punch of bronzer on my skin just to make me look a little bit more alive. So I will show you what I mean. I'm taking the same brush that I used for the tinted moisturizer and just tapping that. I'm not doing anything else, just tap. Already blended. How beautiful and effortless was that process? I mean, let's all just take a second to gush over this product. It is beautiful. I'm not a huge fan of highlighters anyway, and this one is a little bit too metallic for me, so I'm not going to use that today, but I will get my use out of this bronzer and get my money's worth out of the product just using the bronzer alone. I'm going to curl my lashes for a brand new mascara from Lancome. This is the Flutter Extension Mascara. I actually spoke about this on the other platform the other day, and I'm impressed with how quickly this applies. I wish it held a curl a little bit more. I love the wand. I absolutely love this wand. It clings to every single lash to make sure you get separated fluttery lashes, and it removes very much like tubing mascara, so it's not going to bleed and smudge throughout the day. It really does stick. The one major negative for me is that it hardly volumizes the lashes at all. This really isn't for that volumizing look. That's not what it advertises to do, so I can't blame the product for it. This is supposed to lengthen the lashes up to 5.5 millimeters. So it definitely does lengthen, but it doesn't give you that bubbly effect on the ends of the lashes that you get with a lot of other lengthening mascaras, which again is another of my pet peeves. I cannot stand those little balls on the end of each individual lash. So I'm gonna let that dry down a minute while I do the other eye, and then we're gonna build it up. So I'm sure you will all educate me in the comments section of how to pronounce this properly. It's either Sashu, Sachet, Sacco, Saku, do not know. This is the lip liner Stain, and it has gone absolutely viral in the UK. I don't know about anywhere else in the world. It's got more of a liquid lipstick applicator, and this you can put all over the lips, or you can just line the lips. And because I'm losing quite a lot of lip definition and a bit of my lip filler has started to migrate, I am going to be having all my lip filler removed soon. I will take you with me on that journey on the other platform, but yeah, I will be filming that whole process, and then I'll be going back to have them redone a little bit more naturally. So it doesn't look great when it's first been applied. I've got 2 layers of this on now, and it does start to peel off the first layer when you're applying the second layer. I'm not quite sure if a second layer is actually needed, but wait for this to dry down and then it just peels off in pretty much one swipe. So I have no natural lip line to begin with. This nude shade is definitely the most subtle of all the shades. If you want something deeper, there are other shades to look at. Hazel is one of my favorites. Pink is also beautiful, but they are slightly too deep for me. So this one is just perfect for that natural lip look, and it just gives the illusion of having a natural lip line when I just don't. I've just done a whole lip without pressing record, duh. Anyway, never mind. I'm gonna be trying out the Revolution Air Blur Soft Matte Liquid Lips. I believe these are supposed to be a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Lips. I can't remember what they call them. Anyway, put a picture on the screen for you over here or over here, but I didn't like those. So I'm not expecting to love these, even though I bought 4 shades of them, and the shade range is so beautiful. So from top to bottom, we've got Ballet, Natural, Siren, and Chauffeur. So off camera, wasn't supposed to be off camera, but I did apply Ballet, which is more of the reddy tone that I have on the back of my hand. I've got to say, not a big fan. It's more pinkier than a more of a warm red, so I'm gonna give that one a miss and actually apply, I would say, Siren. Let's go for Siren, which is this more warm tone. It feels very similar to the Charlotte Tilbury version. It's very smoothing, it's very creamy, it's very velvety on the lips. The reason I didn't like the Charlotte Tilbury when I first tried it was that it went a little gooey on my lips. It separated. It just did not look nice after around about half an hour. So I'm actually hoping that this one isn't going to be a dupe, and I'm going to prefer it. Brand new product from Vive. It's not a brand new product, but it is a brand new shade in the Sunset Blush Balm. This is the shade Straub, and I'm very excited about it. So I'm going to put a little bit on the back of my hand. Wow, that is some red there. That is like a fire engine red. So it does look the same shade as the packaging, pretty much like an orangey red, which I'm hoping it stays. So I'm going to smooth this on the back. When I smooth it on the back of my hand, you can see more pinky undertones coming through, which is a little bit disappointing for me. It might not be disappointing for everybody else. It's a beautiful consistency, I will definitely say that. It applies beautifully as well. I've just got a really even coat on my brush, working it into the bristles, and then dabbing that onto the skin. I do like this. I wish it was slightly warmer rather than more of a bluey undertone, which I'm getting a little bit of here, and I am a neutral undertone, but more dominant warm. So this might clash with my undertone a little bit, but we'll see how we get on. That's really nice, isn't it? I'm going to lock everything in place with the Anastasia Beverly Hills Impeccable Setting Spray. Never used this before. I have spritzed this just to see what the spray was like, and it has not disappointed me at all. It's really mist-like, so I'm going to try and not go overboard with this. Oh, but it's so refreshing. Really, really beautiful. Oh, I could spritz that on my skin all day. So gorgeous. Let's do a little bit of fanning here. So I can tell you most definitely that the Revolution Air Blur, for me, it is a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Air Blur lipsticks. Still can't remember the name of those. If you look, you get that sort of congealed line, so it's everything that I don't like. This is quite a close colour to my natural lip shade, so I think the more different from my natural lip shade, the more you're going to notice that congealed line. It's a no from me. But if you do love the Charlotte Tilbury Air Blur lipsticks, or whatever they're called, get your hands on some of these, because for me, they're the same. They're the same, and also I think the shade range is better. So there we go. So that's the finished look for today. I have changed my lipstick because I just couldn't cope with the Air Blur from Revolution. So I've switched that to my Old Faithful. I'll link everything in the description box. Now my hair is down. I do think this blush is too pinky for me. It's too cool toned rather than that warm tone that really makes my eyes sparkle. So yeah, now everything's in place. I do think that that could have done with being slightly more warm. But other than that, I really like this look. And yes, I am going to the football with all of this on. I most definitely am. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. Have you tried any of these products already? Are you wanting to try them in the future? Let me know in the comment section. Also, please don't forget to like and subscribe before you leave. I will be getting round to doing my faves and fails, but every time I look at the pile of products, I get so overwhelmed thinking this is going to be an hour-long video. I need to shorten this a little bit. That products just keep piling on, and the longer I wait, the more products go down there. So I just need to get on with it. Thank you so much for watching this all the way to the end. Hope to see you all in the next one. Bye everyone.